What is up, ninjas? My name is Semworld, and today we're going to be talking about how to learn to make a new music genre fast, easy, and painless. Now, a lot of you guys will probably watch videos out there of like Virtual Riot or some producer making a drop in like 10 minutes, and you're probably going to be like, wow, this looks so easy. I want to get into this genre. And then you try it yourself and it sounds something like bleh. Now, the first thing you got to keep in mind, guys, is that this producer has probably been making that genre of music for quite some time now. So he knows what works. He knows how to make those sounds. He's done the trial and error a lot to the point where he's very confident in it. So when you try and go and do it, well, it can sound like blah. Maybe you don't have the right sounds. Maybe you don't have this and that. Maybe you don't know the arrangement. Maybe you don't know the tricks needed to do it. And this is where this comes in handy, because today, guys, we're going to be using a reference track. Now, I've talked about reference tracks on my channel before to do mixing and mastering, and I used it in a video where I made this Dirty Bird style track from start to finish utilizing a reference track. So if you've seen that video, you're already going to know how to utilize a reference track to make a genre fast, simple, and painless. Now, obviously, you want to learn how to make this genre of music because you probably heard it in the background while you were installing torrented plugins, or maybe you heard it in a festival while you were rolling, or in a car ride home. So if you know a song, or you know songs in this genre, I want you to pick one that you really like, and I want you to download it, buy it on Beatport, get the highest quality that you possibly can, and you're gonna bring that inside of Ableton, and you're gonna set it up at top. Now, once you have the track there, guys, you might want to hear it through, and you might want to write notes up on Ableton saying, okay, the intro is this long, the break is this long, drums coming here, and whatnot. So once you have set up the arrangement, you kind of know what you need to go for. The next is going to be to look at the sounds. What type of sounds are they using? What kind of effects are they using? Now, what we're going to be doing in today's tutorial, guys, is pretty simple. As you guys know, I have a hybrid trap soundbank coming out on Friday. I team up with Technoclash to make these sounds. However, I'm a good sound designer, but I've never produced a hybrid trap song in my life. So utilizing the tips I've given you, utilizing this reference track, I'm going to show you guys how I would approach learning how to make a new genre, which is hybrid trap. All the sounds in this tutorial will be coming from that pack if you guys are interested in them, guys, and you can support the channel. It will be out on Evil Sounds this Friday for about $14.99. And we're going to get into it so you guys can see how to put this to use to learn how to make a genre easy, fast, and most importantly, painless. Because alright, guys, so welcome inside of Ableton, and we're going to get straight to work. So like I said, I've set up here the drop of this track. We're not going to do the whole check because that would take forever, but I want to show you how to approach this. Now, again, I know some of you guys might be going like, yo, this is probably copying or whatnot. You're using the track sort of like as a reference. You want to use it as a guide when you're first starting out to make a new genre because, again, you don't know what to do. So what I'm going to do is just hear this through. All right, so we're going to end it right there. So what we're going to be using is just this portion here to guide me on creating a hybrid trap drop. What do I need? How to set it up? So the first thing here I can hear is you can hear in this track, we got this pool. So it's a sound, and a lot of you guys might be like, fuck, how do I make that sound? This is where having the right sounds from the get-go really helps. I understand some people want to make their own presets and whatnot, but a lot of the times when you're approaching a new genre, I always tell my students, yo, you know what, get a sound bank that you think is good from a company. You're doing dubstep cymatics, you're doing techno, audio 10, you're doing big room, evolution of sound, whatnot, and then from there you can go on and do this because it's going to be a lot easier. From there, you can learn how to make the sounds by just analyzing the presets, but the important thing is to first learn how to arrange it and how to bring it together. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is just set up a little build for myself utilizing the Cashmere pack. Now here, Control K, I'm going to push 1 on this and then Control K out, and then I'm going to set this to external out. Okay, so there we go. We got that build. Now, they have this gunshot thing that I hear a lot in hybrid trap as I've been listening to it as I work out. I don't have a sample like that, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sample that and drop it. Okay, so that's going to help a lot. And then we're going to have our... Those little things do a lot. I'm just going to let you know. And it's okay if you want to sample a song like this, guys. You know, you can grab little snippets of it as long as it's like you're not sampling the melody. And if you are sampling something melodic, blah, 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 then you can kind of go in and just... So you're going to have to ask the label that released the song if you can sample and whatnot. But here, with a simple gunshot, we can do that easily. There shouldn't be any problem. I am going to mess with it just to make it mine. Maybe like down pitch it a little bit and do something to see if I can make it sound cool. So I like that, and then maybe add like a pitch change to it so that we get like poof, poof, kind of coming down on it. And then I'm just going to go here, transposition modulation, and then we can do something like that. There we go. So okay, next thing I need is a vocal, so I'm just going to go into the Cashmere pack, words and phrases. Let's do some hype vocals. If you're ready, go. it's a little bit off. So this is where learning how to warp and stuff really comes in handy, guys. So what I'm going to do is I am going to unwarp this. I'm going to set it to 126, which seems like that's what this thing is at. We're going to warp it there, and then we're going to go back to 146, which is what this track is. If you ready, go, oh! If you ready, go. Oh, that's what I wanted to do. So I'm going to go into Complex Pro on that, and then I'm going to set that up. So we're going to set that up. I think I like more if it goes go and that. There we go. So we're just going to EQ that, kind of like to get rid of some of the lows because we did transpose it. There we go. The gunshot, since it transposed down too, we got to get rid of some of those lows. Now the next thing to do, guys, is get the pattern. So I'm going to copy the kick pattern they have in their track, which is one that Hybrid Trap uses a lot. It's not like it's kind of like they trademarked it and whatnot, because literally every trap song does. What I do like, as you hear, is that instead of letting that 808 go, they kind of cut it off. So we're going to do something similar. So definitely need a kick. So we're going to go with maybe a punchy kick from the pack, something kind of similar to it. Very important. Again, you get the right kick. We don't want to put in a big room kick or something like that, which again, common sense, but some people do it. All right. So I'm going to do this in the key of E. The track is in the key of E. I kind of like that one. So we're going to go with. And I can kind of see where they're doing the kick, so I'm going to do that. Okay, cool. So we have the kick set up. Now we need to get that snare. So in the previous video, I taught you guys how to make 808s easier by setting up the snare. But if you have a reference track and you're going to go with that, again, we can do this in our own little way. So we're going to grab that and we're going to go with maybe a snare now. So the snare, we just want something that's trappy or whatnot, or kind of hip-hop-ish. So let's see if we can find something. Maybe that. So we. All right, awesome. There we go. So we got that set up. Now it's time for the 808. Now in the pack, we do have some 808s, guys, in the Hybrid Trap pack if you guys want to utilize it. I'm going to show you guys what you can do to kind of manipulate it as a boss. Using presets, it's dope, but I really do think a lot of you guys need to have a basic understanding of sound design to kind of manipulate these presets how you want them to. So we're going to go with like an 808. I kind of like this one. There's a bit of movement on it, which I'm not a fan of. I'm going to remove with it just by right clicking here. I think that's what. There we go. And we're in the key of E. So we're going to have that. Boom. Now, what they do in their track is that they have this and then they cut it off. So in order to do that, it needs to have that release to it, but we can also go in, just go here, automate that down. So that way we can do that. Let's do this so that we keep the volume. And we're going to come back. There we go. And let's make sure it's at the right volume. So if I'm going to be doing that, I'm going to use a utility to just control the volume. So that way I don't have to automate it all differently. So it's -6, anchor the. There we go. And then it's going to come back in there. So we're going to use that here. He cuts it off here again. So these are things just to do. You don't have to like kind of be like, oh, I'm gonna do it like this. But I like to do it just to learn why we need these stops. And you can hear that they add like these sort of woo to it on top, and it creates sort of like this bounce to it. So getting rid of the 808 there when you have like sort of like an ear candy moment, an additive moment, is maybe a good idea. And that's something I learned from just the reference of that track. Okay, now let's see how they treat this 808. Okay, so now we have this here, and we're going to kind of just drag it out. This one doesn't need to be cut in that format, so we can kind of drag this out maybe like so. Hit it there, and hit it there. Okay, so there we go. And let's add a sidechain to that 808, which you can hear it needs anytime you have the kick in a bass plane. So we're going to go here, cash for punchy kick. Just now, in the end here, they do sort of like this pitch down effect, if you guys heard it. So we're going to copy it as well. It sounds kind of cool because it's like woo woo, and then they have like this tom fill going, right? So we can add that as well. Setting myself up so that when I finally decide to do the drop for it, the top portion of it, it sounds good right out of the get-go. You don't have to add all this other stuff. And it helps again because what I can do is they're doing these little ear candy moments, but I don't need to copy them straight out. I can just be like, okay, I'm gonna use something different here. I know I need that because it's gonna give it that flavor, but now it's gonna be cooler, and I can kind of have that call and response that they have. So what I'm gonna do is have it hit again, you know. So, and then here double click, and then we're gonna kind of have that 808 just pitched down if I can here, doing that there. So we're gonna have that. Bring it back up though, because Ableton's a little B when it comes to like the pitch of. There we go. In Serum bottom left, we can alter that so we can go lower on it. There we go. So we like boo boo. So it's and then you can see the pitch stayed down. So let's make. All right, cool. The next thing I'm gonna add is a tom fill, which I need to add there, which they have here. I can do like snares, or I can do something different if I want. So we're gonna do. All right, so I'm gonna get rid of some of the lows on that. And what I might do is kind of pitch it down myself. I like that sound. There we go. They also have that woo. So I'll use like a vocal sound for that. That's dope. Now in their song, they do have a lot of reverb kind of vibe to it. So we can use the reverb from Ableton, or we can use the Endless Smile. We'll try both to see which one is better, but this is something that they do a lot in trap. This call and response, they have these little shots that have reverb automated to make them come up, or sidechain, whatever you want to do with it. So we'll try this first and see how that sounds like, and bring it down. You can hear that. So, there we go, baby. Okay, so as you can see, guys, I know we're like using a reference track, but you can see how easy it is for me. If I didn't have that, I'd probably still be stuck at making the kick pattern, the 808s interesting and whatnot. But this helps a lot when you're trying to learn a new genre of music. Let's maybe add like a transposition going down again. I like that. So. Yeah. All right, now with every trap song, I don't need a reference for this one. They have that initial hit, so we're gonna use Serum. We call it the Bass Bass initial hit, and we're just gonna put something there like a whop. We just need something. From a lot of trap songs from reference, and hearing this, you hear that boom. Now the sound, this is where it starts to become yours because they don't need to be the same. And again, you're not going to be copying the melody, and you're not going to be copying the melodic rhythm of it. You can if you're having trouble, but this is where you have the kind of like the basis of it. So now it's time for you to just have fun because you've set up everything to set yourself up for success pretty much. It's like going to climb a mountain, but you don't have the climbing gear. Here we're setting up, again, we have the climbing gear, and we're going to be doing our thing. So let's go, and we'll check out some of the sounds here and see which one we go with. So we're in the key of E. So all we need to do there is just set that up real fast. So we're going to do that. Are you ready? Go. There we go. Let's make this a little longer here. So just move that to the right, maybe. Let's see if we can pitch that down as well. So we'll do that here and just pull it down and then bring it back up here. It doesn't need to, yeah, because it doesn't have a release. Let's maybe go up an octave. Yeah, -12 seems where it to be. And I think they have that stab every 2 bars. Yeah, so we can do the same thing. There we go. Now it's time to get the lead. Now, if you hear their lead, which you can get inspired from if you want. So you have that dun, 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 but then on the sides in the stereo signal, you have this other sound layered with it that hits with it. So we can probably do something similar ourselves as well if we wanted to, because again, if you're an intermediate producer or advanced producer, you kind of go like, okay, that sounds dope. I can do that. I know how to do that. So what we're going to do is grab 2 serums here and just set those up because we're going to be using 2 sounds for this. So we're going to pick our first mono sound, the one in the center of the mix. I kind of like that. That has such a nastiness to it. And once we mix it, it'll probably sound a lot better. So we'll have that. And then in the top one, we need a stereo sound. So let's see if we... Make sure we have mono legato always the same. You can see kind of like they don't start at the same time. So we need to give this sound the same LFO that the other one has, which I believe looks something like this at 1/4 envelope. So we just got to make sure they're the same so that they don't sound off. So you can see that 1/4 there, attack, okay. And we're going to do the same here. It's sounding okay. Maybe we can find a better lead though. That chord saw is pretty dope though, so we might use that or change it. That one sounds cool. Maybe we could use that. We can try it. Let's put this up in octave. And let's see if we can find maybe a better sound that's a little bit more trap screech. So we can probably go with that. Let's put them in a group where we're going to kind of process them together. This is the key thing. We're going to sidechain, of course, to the kick in the bus. So they both have similar sidechains. That's going to save a lot of time. So let's see if that sounds good. Okay, so it sounds kind of good. Let's see if we can get it to sound better with the EQ and whatnot, and then I'll show you what else you can do to kind of make this sound more proper. So obviously cut the low. This lead has this sort of sub to it, or this low sound. We're gonna have to leave it though. All right. We're just gonna EQ it out, and that's gonna be right here. All right, now we gotta get them to sound together good. So as you know, in trap they use a lot of reverb, and if you hear that, a lot of reverb in that. So that's what we're going to be doing as well ourselves. This is where we're going to start to do our own thing though. We'll play around with the reverb as we set the idea up. And then let's see, a bit of OTT to get it meshed together. You know, in this genre, no dynamics, baby. Just go all out. We're going to pull this back so we only have the upwards compression and not the downward. And we'll hit another OTT with downwards so that we can control it a bit. Make sure you play with the reverb, put it in the middle, see how it sounds like. I like it back here because it feels like it belongs in the lead. So now all we have left to do, guys, is we have the lead. It's just make an idea, and then from there we can fine tune it. So let's record something to see if I can get something dope. We'll do something simple, maybe leave a few empty spots here and there so we can add little ear candy moments for ourselves that have nothing to do with the track we have. So let's try this out. That one sounds like a bigger melody. Let's try something else that's a little bit more, less movement on the melody. All right, cool. So we'll go with that. And we do have some empty spaces. We can make empty spaces ourselves and we can fine tune this. So let's just put this here. All right, so now we just have to mess with this. First thing I'm gonna do is quantize that. It might fuck it up more. We'll see, and then we have to fine tune it. So I'm just gonna do that there. And since the bottom one is following the same thing, we'll just... Okay, here I'm gonna fine tune this because I want this just to go up here and then come down here. And then I think we have a pitch up going on. So we're gonna have to get this thing up here to maybe -12. Okay, cool. That'll be my idea. Let's put it there. I'm not a huge fan of the part here. Feels it's too staccato. Okay, now let's assume that's the one we like, and this is like, okay, I'm happy with that. Now, you hear this, obviously you're like, man, it doesn't sound like that though. Mix quality. Well, that's where we can use this thing, and it's a free plugin called Span. Now with Span, what I want to do is I just want to kind of compare the frequencies of both songs. So this one, you can see when we play it, we can kind of hear. We can look at how loud the sub is, or the bass, the 808, how it looks like, and how loud our highs are. And then we compare it with ours. Now I do have an ozone on this, so that's why it sounds loud. But we can compare that to see how this sounds. Now if we look, our 808 needs to be saturated just a bit more. Here we need more highs, more fucking power from the lead, and it's maybe not in the mids, but more of the high. So we can do a high shelf on that. So let's do that. So on the 808, we need more, a little bit more distortion. So what I'm gonna do is use a saturator, and this is a cool trick that you can use to kind of just beef up the 808. We can put the frequency of the 808 around the second octave of that E, which is going to be the mid-lows of it. So we can use Corpus from Ableton to grab the key of that. So what is E2 is my question here. So I can go maybe here, and E2 is going to be 38, and then what's E1? E1 is 8332. So let's try both of them. 8332 will be my frequency. Now in order for this to work, you do have to move the bass and the depth of it, which is going to alter the way this reacts to the low frequencies and how this filter reacts. So the depth's going to control how much of an influence does the frequency play in this. So we know we want to be at 83. So let's put that 83. There we go. Now let's look at how that starts to look on Span. We're starting to get those harmonics that theirs has. If you remember. Okay. Now we don't want it to be so much there, and you can hear a little bit of phasing, so that might be something with the effects section. If you're ready, go. We need a bit more, so let's see if we increase the depth. If you're ready, go. So here we're going to actually have to go to the next E, not that one. That one's just too low and we have enough of that. So E2 will be 168. So let's put it there and see how that sounds like. If you're ready, go, ready, go. Now if you remember the leads as well, they needed a little bit of boost. So we're going to EQ after the OTT, so the OTT doesn't influence anything. And then what we need is just cut out some of here. There we go. Now let's hear that one more time. If you're ready, go. right, so we're gonna look at that. Now let's look at the track that we have as sort of a reference. You can see there's this peak here, which I'm a bit worried about, but we'll see what it's doing. If you're ready, go. So you can kind of see there's a little bit more highs, a little bit less here, as you can see. And then in the mids here, you can see maybe a little bit more of a boost, but we're right there with them, as you can see, when it comes to it. And maybe this guy here, I'm a bit iffy on what it is. So we're going to check right now. So the cool thing about span is I can kind of just go in and like play the song and then just focus in on it. So it's going to be from the synths. So I can easily just go in and fine tune that. So here, that was like around here. Maybe I need to cut more. So let's do more of a harsh cut. Cool. Now we're gonna do a reducement around here. If you're ready, go. All right, there we go. So we're gonna kind of go down. If you're ready, go. All right, cool. And now let's add like an endless smile to that so we can mess around with it. So as we were referencing the song, we started hearing cool little things that we liked, like kind of like, oh, those reverb effects and whatnot. So I'm going to add them to this lead, like on the times it ends here. So we can kind of do here, maybe here, have it like so. Move it down, then move this back up maybe so that it gets... Doing this down because the go hit, so let's shoot it like a side chain so that it kind of pulls it down. If you're ready, go. All right, we'll have that go again here, maybe just because they do it as. All right, cool. So let's see what we can do now. Maybe we can add like little moments on it, but maybe we can have a little bit more ear candy because this sounds cool, but obviously some people, this list has been overdone, obviously. Like, so what can we do? Well, we already have stuff. We have the motivation. So for instance, here, I can maybe cut that. All I have to do is just now kind of just get rid of this pitch bend as it goes past it. So we can kind of delete that and just have it go back down here to maybe 0. So it doesn't, we don't run into issues. That's going to be it. Hopefully, yeah, so here you can see that. So let's delete all of this, maybe even move it there. Oh God, we're running into issues now. So now here I can add something to it. I'm not a fan of that mono lead we put, so we might remove it. I know it sounds a little bit iffy. Maybe I need to lower it down a bit and just leave it in mono so it has a bit mono compatibility. But now here I can maybe find some other sound I can do, like maybe have something like, I don't know. Something like that maybe. We'll do that there. If you're ready, go. It's like this is like a sound that's based on sound design. It doesn't have that much tonality, as you can see. And the reverb on it. Let's see if we can move it down maybe. E minor. There we go. If you're ready, go. You know, you can do a lot. We can mess around with other sounds. Let's see. Let's try this. Lower that. If you're ready, go. Yeah, there we go. boom, and then maybe we can add the endless smile back in there. So let's see if we have the endless smile there. By any chance, we don't, so we can kind of have that come in again like that. And okay, cool. Let's make this louder as well, the bottom. And let's see if we can mess with that. Maybe add like a chorus or something to like make it a little bit more interesting. We can do maybe like a huge chord. Let's try maybe an overdrive after that, the chorus. And then an EQ as well. Get rid of the lows.
If you're ready, go.
Yeah, just playing around with that, having fun. Maybe low. And maybe longer, I don't know why. That shot is going to be the end of me, but you can see, guys, we're putting in the work. We're doing things, experimenting with the sounds, but it's a lot more fun once you have it set up. You kind of like getting what you like, because it encourages now to like make it different, mess around with it, do stuff with it. But, you know, after we have maybe check the span on that shot. You know, kind of there we have that. Let's see how theirs looks like when they first hit that. It has sort of like a nice look to it. Ours doesn't really have. It has too much here. So it could be one thing, maybe too much distortion on that bass. There we go. That's a lot better to it. Maybe you could do something like that. So where we switch that. So if, let's say I want to record that, hit record, overdub, automation there, and then hit play. And then we got, it records it for us. So now we got that.
If you're ready, go. If you're ready, go.
Part here, get rid of that. But there you guys can see, you get the idea, and we're moving along, learning how to make hybrid trap, having fun with it, because now we're just not puzzled and like all over like, shit, where do I go, but I hope you guys find this useful. I hope if you find it useful and see me work with that. A couple of things I would do here is the snare could be fine-tuned maybe to sound a lot cleaner, a lot nicer, and other stuff, again, putting in the work. But we're doing it in a very smart way, because now we're not wasting our time just trying to figure out a drop. We can use something as a blueprint that will help us. And again, if you're in a dev producer that has been producing for a while and you know how to achieve quality, then this is where you start to have fun. Just make sure it sounds proper, span, reference, and from there you go, and eventually you'll learn everything to a point where you don't need a reference track. But anyways, guys, I hope you find this tutorial helpful, and I'll see you guys next time for another video. Take care. I know this was a long video, but I hope that it was helpful for some of you guys out there.